Greetings guys and gals, this is XIJABERWALKIX bringing you the best in esports. Today we have StarCraft Brood War, the Shinhan Winners League Set 6 of SKT1 versus MBC Game Hero. MBC Game up 3-2 on SKT1 only because of Kristen Bailey at the bottom right. Just kidding, it's only because of C Shield, who is going for the all-kill. It seems like all the matches that I am casting are possible all-kill matches. First with Bisu, then with, spoiler alert, Violet against Hwaseong Oz, and now we have C possibly going for the all-kill versus SKT1. This is absolutely unheard of. C, obviously a veteran player, been in the league quite some time, played a ton of games, but no one would have expected him to absolutely just blast through SKT1. This is absolutely ridiculous. And C is going to be spawning at the 12 o'clock position as the green Terran, and the yellow Terran is going to be Fantasy at the 9 o'clock. And this is, yes, a TVT matchup. This was requested by one of my subscribers, and so I am doing this cast, even though it's not a Bisu Jaedong or Flash game, which is what I usually do. And before this game gets started off, obviously I have my little announcements. First of all, I'm going to be starting to do more and more StarCraft 2 stuff, still keeping up with my quota of one Pro League / StarCraft Brood War game a day. So don't worry about that, guys. I'm just going to do a little series of introducing players to StarCraft 2 and the StarCraft scene in general, and trying to get the newbies out there to try to pick up StarCraft and play, because I really want to help out the SC scene a lot. Also, I have a bunch of other videos. I need to get my CSL casts done. I need to get my requested games done. I have a bunch on my table, but or my plate. Usually people say plate. But I have so much to do, and I just got back to school. Today is actually my first day. Went to my Japanese class, went to my CIS class, and went to my wildlife, plants and wildlife and fish and wildlife and conservation class. And tomorrow I have microeconomics and Japanese, even though you guys probably don't care at all for my schedule. I'm just going to tell you anyways. Also, I have some other stuff. I'm going to be doing some reviews on keyboards, mice, headsets, stuff like that. And so I have tons of videos in store, but just not a lot of time. I am back at CSU doing the whole college school life thing, block off going on for Fantasy. And C has not yet walled off, and Fantasy in turn is going to get a scout and see that early gas. Well, not really early gas, but the gas, I guess you could say, not early gas. It looks like we might see a, is that a command center? I think that is a command center at that natural position, so an early expansion going on for C. Meanwhile, Fantasy is opting not to go for that early expansion, opting to go for his factory, which is very interesting. So little deviation from both players. We're going to see how this plays out. Fantasy has securely blocked off his base, which he did against Calm. That's not a spoiler. In the very least, Starport, very early Starport. So we are going to see some Wraith play from Fantasy, but that's not a spoiler. But he did do this early block off versus Calm in the OSL round of 4. As you can also call it, the semi-finals. Fantasy picking up his expansion at the bottom left. Very peculiar play for the Terran player Fantasy, as he's not going to be taking his natural. For the time being, this is going to remain undetected just because you have to get through those mineral patches, so nothing but SCVs or air units are going to be able to see that bunker at the front for C. C's going to have a little bit of an advantage in terms of economy, but Fantasy might be able to pull this off just because that base is going to stay hidden for a little while at the very least, until comstats are out, and then this might get comstatted fairly easily. This Marine's probably going to be able to pick off this SCV. Control tower going on that starport, not really making any type of mech unit, so I'm not expecting a vulture drop or anything. I'm expecting more of wraiths with cloak at this point in the game. Although there is one vulture out, not a ton of vultures coming out at this time. Armory going up for C, so he's looking to go for some heavy mech play, possibly some early Goliaths. or early upgrades. Either one is very viable. But as I was saying, reviews are coming out, more videos are coming out, and I did talk to Nuke as well as Ranshin, and they both told me, you know what, do what you want to do in terms of commentary. Don't worry about what we've covered or anyone's covered. And I know some people get mad at Moldtrap because Moldtrap does OSL and MSL stuff sometimes, and Ranshin does the MSL and Nuke does the OSL. But if I'm really going to want to cast a game, I'm going to cast it. I'm going to say screw it. I was going to cast set 2 of Bisou Stork, but the game's so old that no one is going to watch that. But I am probably going to cast the OSL finals, the MSL finals, the Pro League finals, stuff like that. First Wraith out. Now for Fantasy, going to be doing a little bit of damage to that SCV. Not able to pick it off, though. Really not doing a good job of microing. Probably going to lose it, actually. That Wraith is super low on hit points, and it does get picked off. Nice micro by C, able to surround that Wraith. And just really not as much as nice micro by C, but more terrible micro by Fantasy. He does have a Vulture at that 3 o'clock position for some odd reason. Might be trying to do... I don't even know what he's trying to do with that Vulture. Maybe just for pure scouting purposes. Another Wraith is now out. Let's see if he's able to micro this a little bit better. Control tower is going up for C, so pretty much this is going to be absolutely useless to go for this Wraith type play at this point in the game. The control towers are not yet up. He's going to be able to do a little tiny bit of damage, but once those control towers are... I don't know why am I calling them control towers. What is a control tower? Control towers are the things you put on starports. I don't know why I'm calling them control tower. I was like, what is a control tower? Because in StarCraft 2 you have motion sensors, but those don't even detect cloak. I don't know what I was thinking. Comsat stations. That's what I'm thinking of, Comsat stations. Once those Comsat stations go up, he's going to have 2 scans that he can easily use to deter that Wraith. But, yeah, so I talked to Nuke and Ranshin. I asked him for dual comms, so maybe, hopefully, that will come to fruition. I also asked Moldtrap for a dual comm. Have not heard from him yet, but hopefully he will be interested as well. Getting back to the game, C has put up 1 starport and is getting another one. He's also going for more mech play. Has some Marines, but I think that those are purely defensive Marines. He probably had 4 of those in the bunker and then just built an extra 2. So at this point in the game, he's not going to really be going for any type of bio unit, just pure mech. Siege Tech now out for Fantasy, has been for a while, so he's going to be able to deter any type of frontal push for the most part. He needs to get more ground forces, though. This Wraith attack has completely failed. Looks like an SCV at the bottom right for C, so we might be trying to set up a quote-unquote hidden expansion at that position. And both players are kind of even in terms of economy. C's just slightly ahead. I wish they, at that bottom right, I always like that food count and mineral count and stuff like that, because it helps me out so much, and it helps you know what player is ahead. You can really kind of judge that in StarCraft 2 a little bit more than Brood War, but you can kind of judge that by the food count about who is winning. We have an engineering bay going up, probably for turrets. Can't expect him to go for any type of bio push that he would be going for +1 upgrades on that. C going for the top right base, opting not to go for the bottom left, or I mean the bottom right or the top left. He's getting his own race out now, and TVT usually becomes more of a dropship-esque play, especially recently. A lot of players are using dropship. Here comes Fantasy, sieging up his perfect siege line. That is like almost complete straight line. There are no falters in that. SCV finally scouting this bottom left base. Don't know if he's comsatted it yet, but now he knows that it is there, and he's gonna be like, well, Fantasy's been on 3 bases or 2 bases for God knows when. He's getting up his 3rd. The 3rd is up and running, so I better do some early damage, or not early damage. I better do some damage because I have no idea how long he's had that base up for. C now getting up his 3rd factory. That base almost done at the top right. And he's got about 5 wraiths. Don't know if he has cloak yet. I didn't see if that that control tower was blinking or not. Possibly does have cloak would be a little bit useful. Not really that useful, and I don't really like Wraith play from TVT players. It happens quite frequently though. But I just think with the comp sets and everything, it's really not that effective, and just absolutely passing by each other. C does not see those Wraiths there, wasting a comp set. Very nice job by Fantasy on making C waste one of his comp sets. Those comp sets are very, very precious, as you only get a certain amount of them, and that's pretty much the only detection that the Terran players have for the time being. No science facility out as of yet. C also picking up the bottom right base, and if Fantasy lets this go, man, he's going to be in a ton of trouble. It looks like C might also be going for that top left base, trying to secure that as well. And man, oh man, this is going to be a crazy. Both players using those barracks to spot, and it looks like Fantasy is going to come out ahead in this battle because he just had more forces to begin with. This barracks might even go down. Probably C is going to bring off an SCV or two to repair it, because he actually kind of needs that barracks for spotting for the time being. That barracks so close to going down, going to go down probably to that one Goliath, and it does, or those two Goliaths rather. One of them was hiding behind one of the siege tanks. We do see that control tower blinking, so probably upgrading cloak as we speak, or rather as I speak. And C, man, C is getting out of control with his expansions, and if Fantasy doesn't do something soon, then he is just going to be out macroed times 20. I mean, swapping bases with C at that point won't be effective at all, just because he's going to have so many more bases. And I apologize for my Skype. That keeps coming up. I think you guys can definitely see that with my software that I'm using to record this, so I definitely apologize in that aspect. Now he's had to make his engineering bay his spotting building, and this is going to be very, very interesting because he's going to lose this engineering bay fairly fast. I don't even think it's going to be useful to him at all. Didn't do nearly any spotting. He gets a siege tank picked off as well. He does have more race than Fantasy does, and he has a better economy. As long as he can kind of contain Fantasy at this point, he's ahead. Even if he loses some units, he'll still be ahead. Obviously, he doesn't want to lose armies after armies after armies after armies, but at this point in the game, he can really do army trades and still be ahead just because his economy is so superior. Comsat going down for Fantasy, I believe. Another comsat going down for one of the players, and these Wraiths just engaging in a little bit of a micro battle. The Goliaths are helping out a lot in this aspect. Only one or two Wraiths for Fantasy, and a little bit more for C. C at the same time does not have Goliaths. Don't even know if he has his Charm booster yet. We have three dropships out for Fantasy, so Fantasy might be thinking about a drop in the near future. C's built some missile turrets though, so this is going to be spotted and might be taken out if he brings his race as well. Fantasy needs to be very, very careful not to get his dropships picked off with all of his units inside. Fantasy looking like he's wanting to secure a fourth. He's going to realize that there's missile turrets at that northern position at that top left. But overall, very, very, very slow, sluggish Terran game, and usually that's why I don't like casting TVT matchup. But here comes Fantasy with the drop, getting his dropships hit by those missile turrets. Might be able to take out some of those missile turrets out. One of the missile turrets does go down, but meanwhile his forces that he dropped in are coming in. C picks off both of the race, is going to come back. Possibly a lot of damage is being done by Fantasy. At the meantime, he does have 3 siege tanks seized up, as well as some Goliaths. SCVs coming off the line to do some damage, to do some drastic damage here. Try to suicide into those tanks. Unable to do anything. I think that was a wrong move by C, unfortunately, man. And Fantasy just doing tons and tons of damage. This is absolutely ridiculous. And wow, I can't really believe that Fantasy is doing this much damage. C is just absolutely not able to do anything with that force up there from Fantasies. He's not able to defend it or anything. Mining has completely stopped at his main. Science facility now up for C as well. And I don't know why they showed Fantasy's face. I really hope that I am not messing this up and thinking that C is the green player and Fantasy is the yellow when it's the other way around. I really, really hope so. But usually what happens is they are lined up for the same team. So if the T9 player is for SKT and the T12 player is for MBC. So I hope, crossing my fingers, that that's correct. It looks like Fantasy's coming out for an all-out attack here, trying to seize up his siege tanks, moving forward with his Goliaths and SCVs against the siege line of C. Might be able to break out here. a lot of race coming in to try to defend, trying to pick off these Goliaths. Probably will be able to do so unless he reinforces with about 2 more, which he just did. C now in a little bit of trouble, and I think I'm casting this right, hopefully. But C losing a lot of race and also losing all of his ground force. Where is his ground army? He's just kind of overextended himself. Really doesn't have a lot of siege tanks at the moment. Doesn't have a ground army to speak of, and Fantasy needs to do something, man. Fantasy needs to move in and attack, because the Artosis rule isn't going to apply here. He's not ahead. He's not going to be able to just sit back and keep the advantage because he doesn't have it. He needs to move in. C's at more bases. Although technically, as of right now, he's even because C is not mining at his main. But actually, I don't know, because there's not that good of saturation at any of his bases. None of his bases have that good of saturation. It looks like Fantasy is transferring probes to that top left, so he's going to be at 4 bases to C's 5, but 4 mining. So Fantasy actually might be in the lead. Fantasy might be in the lead. I haven't seen how good of saturation that Fantasy has. Don't know his food count, but this could possibly be Fantasy's game at this point, because C is... What the heck are those SCVs? Those SCVs need to get glitched in. I think that you can't rally your SCVs to that point from other points just because those minerals are there. I think you have to manually do it, just because a lot of times these maps have those worker glitches that you need to glitch your units through those mineral patches. And another Skype, man. I need to turn off my Skype for my next test. I'm really sorry about that, guys, but I guess it's a shout out to all my friends on Skype. Anyways, Fantasy moving his forces kind of in the southern middle of the map, just trying to set up a good position. Meanwhile, C is trying to set up a siege line of his own to protect his top right half of the map. I think that he has continued mining at his main, as it looks like there is no yellow in his main any longer. But Fantasy, man, has a big army. He needs to do something. He needs to come in with some type of attack, or else he's going to fall farther and farther behind, because I think that C at this point is workering up. He's getting his SCVs to a better saturation point. Although that 3 o'clock base still doesn't have very good saturation at all. Here comes Fantasy with another drop at this top right, also attacking the 3 o'clock position. Might also go for that bottom right, and he's just attacking at every position he can. The Wraiths are doing a little bit of damage. He needs a comm set. Don't know if he has a comm set. I don't think he does, or maybe he just doesn't want to waste one. There's the comm set. Maybe he didn't have the energy at that moment in time, but these Wraiths are going to be mincemeat comparatively to these Wraiths. But there are a lot of Wraiths out, so there's over a control group of Wraiths, I believe, are able to take out just those 3 Goliaths, but doing a lot of damage nevertheless. Goliaths versus Wraiths, not quite the even battle that you would want if you were the player with the Wraiths. And Fantasy just sieging up his siege tanks, doing a ton of damage. Comset going down to try to spot for the siege tanks of C, but unfortunately C just does not have the manpower to deal with this harsh attack that Fantasy is putting on. More siege tanks, but not really doing anything, just kind of sitting there. He does have a significant Wraith force, possibly a control group and a half, at least over control group. I believe he does have 3 starports for the time being, but in terms of mining bases, he wasn't mining at his main for very long. The 3 o'clock never was really mining that much. He kind of stopped production at that top right for just a little bit, and so Fantasy doing what he needs to do, being the Terran player that he is. And Fantasy, speaking of him, he has been playing so well lately, very on top of his game, playing absolutely ridiculous, losing a few tanks there though, but he's just been on his game for sure. Those Wraiths waiting to pounce on their prey, and I'm really excited to see what C has in store for those Wraiths. Might be saving up energy for Cloak or something, or trying to hide the significant amount he has. But at this point in the game, I think Fantasy would definitely know that he has like a little bit over control group, just because he's lost those forces at the top right. Here comes a Wraith attacking the siege tanks, doing a very nice job. There are no Goliaths in the area, so there's going to be nothing to deter these Wraiths for the time being. And 4 Goliaths finally able to come in and make the Wraiths fall back. But you can just see how uneven the battle is between Goliaths and Wraiths. I mean, 4 Goliaths deterring about 13, 14 Wraiths. That is definitely not an even battle, especially with those charm boosters. Those charm boosters are so effective versus air units, and I really wish they would have kept Goliath in StarCraft 2. I think they're an awesome units, but looks like C just is going in for an all-out attack, having to pull back, realizing that that was an absolute idiotic decision. He's continuing to make race, and I don't really like this play, just as I don't like carriers versus Terran. I don't like mass race. You do have the mobility, yes, but Goliaths are very, very good against air units. But this just massive Goliath might be able to take out all of these, or this massive race might be able to take out all these Goliaths. For some reason, he's not persisting in attacking these tanks, probably to do a double attack and attack the tanks as well as the Goliaths, bring his tanks in underneath. I think that would be very, very effective comparatively. Fantasy forces pretty much spread out. You can see the line of yellow on the minimap where he's setting up his siege line, but his forces are just spread so thin that Fantasy is definitely going to be able to, or C rather, is going to be able to exploit this with his race. Those races just have so much mobility, might be able to take down all those tanks. For some reason, I thought he was opting not to take down those tanks, and now he changes his mind. Going to be able to take down all of them. Those Goliaths are just not in range, and all 4 of those siege tanks go down, but they do get a Wraith kill. So not a total loss by Fantasy. Fantasy needs to pay a lot of attention to what he's doing, though, at this point in the game. It's just on a knife's edge. It's just so close, because all the bases on the outside have been taken. None of the bases except the 12-ish base and the 6th base. They're not even up and running yet. They're getting up and running, but pretty much the whole map is being mined at this point in the game, except for the 3 and the 9 on the inside, which are very, very hard to hold. But losing a lot of race there, my gosh. And honestly, I don't know what C is doing. I don't know what C is doing. Just like, spoiler alert, just like Violet against Haya. Violet went for a retarded 2-base carrier strategy that absolutely failed, and Haya went for a ridiculous like Medica Marine biomech push. For some reason, he just was really into Medic Marine. Maybe he just got off playing a Zerg player or something. But he won with it. And carriers are very, very good against Medic Marine. Sure, the Medic Marines can kill the interceptors, but they can't kill the carriers. And as long as you have the minerals to kind of protect that, you're going to be able to kill it off. But Violet just lost... my gosh. Violet just lost too many interceptors and didn't have an economy to keep up his production. Here comes Fantasy attacking this bottom to the 3 o'clock base here. I guess you could call it the 4 o'clock base. But yeah, doing a very, very nice job here. C's trying to reinforce, but just going into these siege tanks, going to lose a lot comparatively to the amount that he's going to kill from Fantasy. Still doesn't have his siege tanks getting any hits off, and oh my gosh, C's siege tanks are absolutely crushed. He has 4 left of that huge force. C, what were you doing, man? There's like no Goliath there anyways, and your siege tanks didn't even get hits off of that. That's just free kills for Fantasy, and I think I bumped my mic, so I'm apologizing for that. Or I apologize, rather. Now we're seeing battle cruisers, and that is the ultimate TVT, is when you go battle cruisers, because then it's just a huge 200 battle cruiser army against another 200 battle cruiser army, and just like we saw in Light versus Flash. Light winning that, surprisingly. This is because Flash was an idiot about where he engaged with. But now Fantasy looks like he's going to go for this battlecruiser play as well, which means that this game is going to go even longer. Even longer. Usually you see long games and they're like PVT. It seems that all the long games are Terran. Why is that? That's because Terran are babies and they turtle and stuff like that. I'm a little bit biased against Terrans. I used to actually play Terran in SC2. Started off as Terran, did very, very mediocrely. Switched over to Protoss and did a lot better. And in Zerg I did a lot better as well. But Terran, man, maybe it's just because I could never use them in Brood War, or maybe it's because I hate siege tanks. I just really hate siege tanks. But either way, they make for such ridiculously long games. TVT is just long. PVT can be long. ZVT can be long. ZVT is usually not as long, though. Anything with Zerg usually is not nearly as long as anything with Terran or Protoss rather. Protoss is pretty long. Terran and Protoss is pretty long. Valkyrie now out for some reason. And if you guys didn't know this, Valkyries seem like they would be really good against battlecruisers, but they're not. They're absolutely terrible against battlecruisers because the AI messes up and the animations, and it looks like they're getting a lot of hits off, but a lot of the missiles just like disappear. And so if you're ever playing Brood War, which I know a lot of you don't play Brood War, well, maybe you guys do because you're watching Brood War, but a lot of people move on to the C2. But anyways, C looks like he's going to come up and clean up this tank force, but what I was saying is a lot of the missiles just like disappear, and so if you're ever playing Brood War and you see your opponent going battlecruiser, don't, under any circumstance, go mass Valkyries because you will get absolutely owned. Go for something like Goliath or even for battlecruisers yourself. Looks like another drop going in for Fantasy, possibly going to take out this bottom right base, at least stopping mining for the time being, and still more and more Wraiths for C. Wraiths and Siege Tanks, that's his game plan. Just go Wraiths and Siege Tanks into Battle Cruisers a little bit later. Finally getting some of his Battle Cruisers up. I'm assuming he's also upgrading Yamato. Possibly getting up his second armory if he doesn't already have it for some more upgrades. For air, obviously. And these TVT games, man, I know it's like, don't cast them if you're going to complain about them. But the thing is I don't know how long the game is, and if I did know, then it would kind of spoil it for me. So usually I try not to look at the time or how many parts there are to the game, stuff like that, and just like, wow, these are so long. I mean, sometimes it's interesting, but a lot of times it's just a really, really tentative play. That's just the nature of TVT. C coming in here with some race, now revealing his battlecruisers, but I'm pretty sure that Fantasy already knew. Probably had a comm set off to know that that science facility with the physics lab was up. We have quite a bit of race now out for Fantasy as well. C has the first battle cruisers, but needs to keep them very, very safe. Needs to not get them surrounded by that huge Wraith force without race of his own or without some type of Goliath underneath. Because that'll be just absolutely terrible if he were to lose those battle cruisers this early in the game and just be behind in battlecruiser count, because then he would definitely be done if Fantasy was being aggressive and not passive like Terran players usually are, unfortunately. But you know, right now we're just seeing kind of a tentative state where both players established their ground siege lines, they've established the battleground, and now they're just mining. Oh my gosh, that's a ton of starports for Fantasy, man. Fantasy might actually be opting to go for mass Wraith instead of any type of battle cruisers, which could be effective if he pushes in pretty soon. If he pushes in at a soon time, that's so many Wraiths, at a soon time, this might work. With those Goliaths underneath, I don't think so, though. He's going to have to engage somewhere where the Goliaths cannot be underneath to engage the battle cruisers. Here he goes, engaging some tanks, but all this really is going to do is free up supply for C. C's coming in with some Wraiths as well, but his Wraiths are going to be absolutely owned. +3 331 at any rate for the battle cruiser. I think that's Yamato, actually. So 3-1 for the battle cruisers, for the air units, for C. And what does Fantasy have? Fantasy only has 1-1-1. We have 3-3 for the Terran player C and 1-1-1 for Fantasy. So Fantasy very, very behind in terms of upgrades, and this is not going to help him out. Battlecruisers are just going to eat through his race, but the race, if they can get some good attacks off, my Skype going off again, but he's able to pick off some of these missile turrets, doing a very nice job. Now cloaking his units, and it looks like a comsite going down by those battlecruisers too, and Fantasy's force is going to get absolutely owned. Just like I said, he doesn't have the upgrades. He doesn't have the necessary upgrades, and he engaged exactly where I told him not to engage. He engaged right where there are a ton of Goliaths, and I just told him not to do that. Yamato's going off on some tanks, might be able to pick off a battlecruiser. Nice job. That's what you need to do. You need to move in, snipe the battlecruiser, move out. Move in, snipe the battlecruiser, come back out. So very, very nice job right there. And if he's able to do that a few more times, might be able to even stuff up, might be able to pick off another 2 battlecruisers, almost able to do something. Just 50 hit points left. 50 hit points. Oh, that's depressing. Almost got the next battlecruiser Fantasy just too timid to stay in that extra second longer and pick off that battle cruiser. Might cost him a little bit later on. Looks like these siege tanks unsieging don't want to get picked off. They're going to hightail it out of there, but not without losing a few of their brethren. Comset going down to view on those cloaked wraiths. And Fantasy, man, I don't even think he's producing battle cruisers. I think he's saying, screw it, I'm going mass wraith. And this is a very, very interesting move. He does have more mobility. He's going to be able to pick off more. But when C says, it's time to move in, I don't know if he's really going to have it, because those battle cruisers are going to be right above the Goliaths, and they're going to move in, they're going to attack, and unless Fantasy has an absolute hoss of a ground army to accompany his race, which he probably won't because he's getting so many races, he's probably close in supply to being food capped. He's not going to be able to take out the Goliaths that he really needs to. What he needs to do is he needs to do this kind of harassment dealy, which is what he's doing. He's doing a very, very nice job of that, picking off turrets, picking off SCVs, kind of stopping mining, making C make stupid decisions like that, running his army right into those siege tanks, and yet again, Fantasy trying to engage at the absolute wrong point, just getting absolutely owned by those Goliaths and battle cruisers. And now that C sees that Fantasy is going for more Wraith-heavy army, or a complete Wraith army with some siege tanks. He's going a lot more Goliath-heavy, which is the definite appropriate response. The Goliaths are going to be able to supplement the battle cruisers. The battle cruisers are going to be able to kill the siege tanks, and I like the battle cruiser Goliath army composition a lot better than the mass Wraith. Mass Wraith is just so much harder. It can be done, but just so much harder. Here comes C in for what could be the last push. There's just so many Goliaths, some tanks in the mix, battle cruisers have Yamato. Fantasy is going to be hard pressed to defend this attack. He is sieging up, but here come the battle cruisers coming in. Race coming in to defend, though. Might be able to defend these three battle cruisers with a race. Here comes another attack by C. Fantasy trying to engage that battle cruiser, able to pick off one, not losing too many race, doing a very nice job of defending against these battle cruisers. But here comes the Yamato, going to be able to pick off all three of these tanks possibly. All the tanks are down, and Fantasy is going to lose this base, unfortunately. He's still mining at 1, 2, 3 bases, but he's just losing bases way too quickly. These wraiths are very, very fragile. He's going to have to pull off the micro of his life if he wants to be able to come out with the win. He did take away that 3 o'clock base. That 3 o'clock base is going to be very, very important for reinforcing. There goes my Skype for the 50th time. I need to turn that off. I'm sorry. I don't want to kind of ruin my cast, though. I'm just going with it. For future casts, I'll definitely turn off my Skype, because I know that's probably super annoying, especially when I mention it about 50 times. Able to pick off that barracks. Here comes Fantasy with SCVs in hand, and he's going for it all. Might be actually taking the SCVs to distance mine. That's not going to work out with that siege tank right there. He's going to lose a lot of his SCVs that way, and really having to resort to any type of strategy to mine. He's suiciding SCVs in because he needs more food, and that's what I'm talking about. He needs the ground army, but he just doesn't have it because he's got so many wraiths, and each of those wraiths, you know, they're more than a marine, if you know what I'm saying. They're a lot of food, and so you're not going to have as big of an army as you would, say, if you were to build a, you know, what C is doing. What C is doing is a lot more army heavy than the army that Fantasy has. But at the same time, you know, it's kind of working out for him. He's able to keep his bases and his 3 mining bases, and C looks like he's only at 1. And he's had to kind of distance mine at that 3 o'clock, going to have to put back his expansion. It looks like he floated over, or not floated over, he sent some more SCVs from his other bases to that 3 o'clock. He's going to have to remake that 4 o'clock base, though. So for the time being, he's only mining off of 2 bases. Probably going to try to take that inner 12 as well. But look how many wraiths there are. There's just so many wraiths. For Fantasy, it's absolutely ridiculous. He's just got a huge cloud of wraiths, and those wraiths are really fragile. They're like the air DTs, man. They're like the air banshees that can also attack air pretty well. If Banshees could attack air really well, then they would be race. And then we would have our problem solved for SC2. But actually, I'm just kidding. I don't really mind Banshees or Race. I think the balancing system is very, very balanced in SC2, especially after the latest patch. I definitely think they've been doing an excellent job on patching that game. Here comes Fantasy with more Race, but being deterred by the Goliath, and this is just the story of this game, this epically long game. Going to be able to possibly pick off the battle cruisers. This is exactly what I was saying. He's able to engage not with the battle cruisers under or on top of those Goliaths, and able to pick off all the battle cruisers. That might have been the thing that's going to turn this game around. And C is sweating ridiculously, man. C is like pouring down sweat. He needs one of the booth girls to come in and put a towel on his face because his keyboard is going to be absolutely way too sweaty to micro with. Here comes Fantasy with more siege tanks coming out at the 4 o'clock base. Fantasy does have more race going up, kind of dancing. I don't know what he's doing in the middle of the blob there. But C, meanwhile, has lost all of his battle cruisers. The ground force trying to move in. He's going to have to try to take away the advantage that Fantasy has gained by killing off those battle cruisers, but Fantasy just picking up on that instantly. Still has a ton of Race, and here come the Race trying to engage. There's just so many Goliaths, and this really hurts because all those Race are going down. Just lost a ton of Race to just a handful of Goliaths. Engaging yet again. He's going to have to use these siege tanks to the best of his ability, trying to pick off the siege tanks as best as he can. Fantasy going in yet again, but just going to lose so many of these Race. These siege tanks might be able to do a ton of damage, and CGG's Fantasy able to save SKT1. And look at him! Look at him, he's so sweaty, he's ridiculously sweaty. But Fantasy able to save the all-kill from SKT1, and now I think that they are in the driver's seat. Yet again, it's tied up 3-3, and Fantasy is going to go to match number 7. If you liked this cast, please subscribe, please give me a like. And other than that, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next cast. That's all from me. Lates.